And that's when I left City Stars. It was just like the natural thing, you know. I was riding with them, they left, and Reem was like, no hard feelings. And then I was just a little bit of a free agent for a second. And I was hanging out with Ed Templeton a lot at the time. I was on America, and I was just like kind of hanging with all the people who were on America. And then going on trips all the time. I can't remember how I was on all these trips, probably America. And then there would be like random trans world trips, and you're just in Australia for a while. It was such a surreal time. I was just on the road all the time. And
How old were you?
I was probably like 17.
That was when you were on the road a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm guessing like 17, 18, maybe even a little younger, but going to all like the Europe contests and stuff, and America just really had us on the road. Me and Brian Herman were hanging a lot. And yeah, Baker put the offer out, and I ended up on some trip with them to Australia. And that was when I just got on the team. They were like, so what's the deal? I remember Dustin Dolan being like pressuring me pretty hard. Like, what the fuck you doing? Like, you're here with us. Like, you ride for Baker or what? And I was like, I mean, that's really my dream. I was such a big Baker fan from the moment it came out, which at this point, this is only a couple years after it came out, but it was some pretty pivotal years. You know, I went from just like at home in the Valley watching the video right when it came out, and then a couple of years later I'm like on tour with these guys, and they're like, you want in? And I was like, hell yeah.
Did you already know them?
No, I just kind of met them all like as I got on America. I was really just like sprung right into the scene. You know, they had the America mansion, and we were staying there a lot, and started filming for This Is Skateboarding. And at that time, it was like, you know, it was like basically living with Andrew Reynolds all of a sudden, and in this big mansion. Heath was there, and everyone was there. John Miner was making the video. He lived there. And but yeah, I just like started skating with Andrew and Herman a lot, and staying with them a lot. And yeah, it was so surreal. I can't even emphasize how weird it was to go in such a short time from being like a fan to like living with these people. It was crazy.
Yeah. So it kind of started with the trip to Australia.
Yeah.
It was a Baker trip. Who was on that trip, and how was that?
Shoot, I can't remember who was on it. I think it was like Andrew and Herman and Dustin. I just remember we were staying with Dustin a lot, and I don't know. I was on the road so much back then. So much was happening. They all kind of blend in a little bit. I'm sad to say, but yeah, it was just like, I think Mike Maldonado might have even been there. It was like early on, but yeah, I was just tripping. I don't know. It's like it's hard to remember these things. It feels like a dream. Like, it doesn't feel like my life almost at this point, because there's so much stuff happened in those like first 4 years that it was just like one big whirlwind.
How was it looking back on all that footage? And, you know, thank God it was recorded and just heavily documented.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, I always talk about this, and I talk about it because like it's important, and just like an era that is pretty much impossible to recreate.
Mm-hmm.
The people involved, everyone's like a fucking American original. You know what I'm saying? Like every person. We were looking at a Baker ad, the one where there's like, it's like outside, and there's it's the whole team.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the white backdrop, but
mm-hmm.
dudes are like out of the white backdrop.
Mm-hmm.
We're zooming in on every person, and we're like, dude, every one of these people is like super original, super like movie character, like story character. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed. Yeah. I was at a friend's house the other day and a couple of friends that skate, but they're not like in the skate industry, and they put on Baker 3, and they were just like asking me about each rider. And I was like, as I was sort of just going into the stories from back then, I was thinking to myself the same thing, like, God damn, this like group of people are so fucking fascinating. Like, such characters. I can't believe that they were all assembled in one team, and that I was around to see some of that stuff because it was so funny. I mean, watching like Greco in that time period, and I mean even like Bulala back then, and Dustin doing his shit, and like all these people, like such like true eccentrics. Like it was crazy, man. It was like really fun and really crazy, and it was also at a time where, to me, it was like it was before, like that in the beginning, you know, it was like before it was just skateboarding. We were just out there like skating every fucking waking hour, and so it was like very not. It wasn't like easy, but it was everything, you know. So it was easy to just keep my head down and be like try to keep up with whatever sort of situation I was in, rise to the occasion, and then so like footage was happening because I was just trying to show off for my heroes. And so like being in those videos, I think at the time I was a little bit able to recognize like this is like a big deal. You know what I mean? Like don't blow this right now. I can't say if I did or not, but I could say I was trying really hard not to, just looking around like, wow, I can't believe I'm here. And yeah, and like getting a peek behind the scenes and behind the curtain of all these like fucking fascinating characters. It was a fun time. That was like before for me, it was like before girls and partying and all that stuff. So it was just like a concentrated focus on that stuff.
So what's it like when you look back on those videos now?
It's interesting because after so long, it's almost like the videos become a little bit of your memory too, because like that's all the videos and the stuff, that's what you see from that time. I never was like very plugged in. I didn't take a lot of photos or have a computer or anything back then. So it's just like that's sort of like the record of my life from there. But it's fun. It's fun. I don't really go back a lot and look at that stuff, but it is pretty fun. I gotta admit to watch one of those old videos every once in a while and be like sprung back into that time.
Yeah. Plus you're 17, 16, 18, and you're making a living off of skating, and you get to travel the world all the time.
Yeah.
And that's a cultural education in and of itself.
Yeah, that was really the best part, I think, like just getting that education, being out there, getting introduced to people who were really just like designing their lives how they wanted to, and there just wasn't a lot of rules, but there was a lot of exposure to a lot of cool shit. I was like coming from the suburbs that I just recognized, and when I was there, I just wanted nothing to do with it. It felt like suffocating how fucking vapid and just boring it was. I was just like bored to death in the suburbs. I wanted to get the fuck out, and I got out, and I was like, I want to see anywhere they'll send me, I'll go. I want to see it all. And yeah, like I said, I dropped out of high school, so it was like it felt like a big education to see all that. It was like I felt so lucky to be there and see all that.